A social media IPO. Everybody loves these things, the hype, the talk, the Yelp. Let's talk about Yelp. Lynn Cowan is down in D.C. to give us the latest on the latest social media IPO. Lynn, how are you today?
Hey, how are you doing, Paul?
Good. So, listen, Yelp, I think the stock's up like 65%, right?
Yeah, it's about 61 right now.
61? Is that a good number?
It's not bad. It's not the best so far this year, but it's pretty good for a first day. The big question is whether the stock will hold on to those gains in the weeks to come.
Well, there's also a question of whether, did they misprice the IPO, Lynn?
Right.
Once again, it looks as though the bankers left a lot of money on the table.
It does look that way. There was a lot of demand for this deal, and it did price above its expected range. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to gauge what individual investors are going to be doing on the first day in a big brand name like this, and they sort of jump in and push it higher. But yeah, obviously Yelp could have gotten more money, but then if they had traded down, people would be complaining that they mispriced it the other way.
Right.
It's a little hard to gauge with a big brand name like this.
Yeah, okay, you've said that twice. I gotta ask you, a big brand name, like, is this really Yelp? I mean, what do they do, user reviews?
Yeah.
Is that really some kind of business that I want to invest in? Well, I guess I mean, how do they make their money? They clearly aren't making it off you, right? Is it advertising?
It's advertising based, of course, and and they're selling click-throughs to the institutions that are being reviewed, whether they're restaurants or stores or retailers, whatever they are. But Lynn, on some level, are investors just using Yelp as sort of a proxy because there's been a dearth of social media IPOs over the last several weeks?
Well, there has been a dearth. The social media IPOs that we've seen in the last couple of months, not all of them have done very well. I mean, Groupon went up on its first day, but then it tanked. It's still below its IPO price right now. I think what might be helping Yelp today is Angie's List, which is the most comparable social media company to Yelp. They're not so far off of their first day gain. They're doing pretty well compared to Groupon, and they're the most comparable stock to Yelp. So investors might be looking at Angie's List and saying, hey, they've held on to the gains pretty well. Maybe Yelp will too.
Yeah. How long is it going to take? Here's my question for you. How long is it going to take until Yelp is trading under the IPO price?
Wow.
Actually, that's a legitimate question. I'm really asking.
Cynicism. We're going to have to give up a 60% gain, so it's going to take at least a week.
At least a week? All right. Lynn?
If I was a betting woman, I would say maybe a couple weeks. It's not going to go as fast as Zynga did. Zynga dropped like a stone the minute it started trading. Groupon took a couple days to sink and maybe a couple weeks to drop below its IPO price. I'd give Yelp a couple weeks to come down.
All right, that's good, Lynn. We'll leave it there.